The first movement is not to rise, it is to listen. In the Tanzanian savannah, morning arrives slowly, bringing sounds that need to be understood before the first step. The Hadzabe camp awakens without alarms, without schedules. The body knows when it is time. The ears know what to look for. A middle-aged man moves in silence between the low constructions of branches and leaves. His feet know every irregularity of the ground. There is no hurry. He stops, tilts his head slightly to the left, listens. The wind blows from a familiar direction. The birds sing in their habitual rhythm. Everything remains within the expected. He continues walking. Other bodies begin to move. A woman adjusts the almost extinct fire. Children emerge from the constructions as if they were a natural part of the dawn. No one announces plans. No one discusses strategies. The day simply happens, following patterns established over generations living in the same territory. The man takes his bow, checks the string with his fingers. It is not an elaborate ritual, just a necessary gesture. Other men do the same. The women organize different tools. Each person possesses their function, but there is no rigid hierarchy. There is accumulated knowledge. There is mutual trust. There is the silent understanding that survival depends on everyone. They leave the camp when the sun does not yet warm. They walk in an irregular line, maintaining distances that allow communication through minimal gestures. There is no verbalized mental map. The territory is read through the feet, the eyes, the nose. Each stone, each isolated tree, each variation in the color of the earth tells a story about animal movement, availability of water, relative safety. The group stops. Someone found something. There are no words. The others approach and observe. Sky. The dry ground, almost imperceptible marks reveal recent passage. Not of prey, of predator. Eyes move from the ground to the horizon. They calculate distance, evaluate time. It is not fear, it is information processed through ancestral knowledge. The direction changes. It is not flight, it is adaptation. In the savannah, flexibility means survival. What seemed to be the obvious path becomes secondary before more urgent data. They move to a more open area where visibility increases, where surprises become less probable. For 1 hour, the rhythm remains controlled. The men read tracks. The women collect. The children learn through silent observation. No lesson is verbalized. Knowledge passes through example, repetition, gradual participation in real activities. A 6-year-old child already identifies edible plants. At 10, recognizes signs of danger at a distance. At 15, participates actively in collective decisions. The wind changes, brings a known smell. A smell that alters the behavior of the whole group instantly. It is not panic, it is multiplied attention. Bodies move differently. Steps become more precise. Gestural communication increases. They know they are no longer alone in that area. One of the most experienced men advances a few meters, stops, observes, returns, does not need to explain what he saw. His face communicates everything. Lion. Close. Has not yet perceived them, but the situation requires immediate decision. To advance means risk. To retreat means losing important hunting territory. To remain means eventual confrontation. The group organizes itself without verbal commands. Positions are taken. Bows prepared. There is no individual heroism. There is collective strategy developed through hundreds of similar situations. Each person knows their role, knows when to act, knows when to wait. The lion appears in the distance, walks heavily, as if the earth itself protested against its weight. Does not demonstrate immediate aggression. Also does not demonstrate intention to retreat. Evaluates the human group with calculated curiosity. Predator recognizes predator. Both understand the unwritten rules of that encounter. Minutes pass, no one moves. The tension is not dramatic. It is pure concentration, mutual evaluation. The lion approaches 3 steps, stops. The human group adjusts positions subtly. There is no retreat. There is no provocation. There is mutual respect for the limits of each species. The decision arrives without warning. One of the archers advances half a step, raises the bow. There is no hesitation. There is no theatricality. It is a technical gesture executed with precision developed over decades of practice. The arrow flies, finds its target. The lion hesitates, then lowers itself gradually. The savannah recovers its silence. There is no celebration. There is no visible relief. There is only the recognition that a dangerous situation was resolved within known parameters. The group approaches the animal with maintained caution, verifies if the threat was completely neutralized. Only then relaxes the defensive posture. What follows is not euphoria, it is work. The animal needs to be processed quickly. Each part has specific utility. Meat for food, hide for tools, bones for implements. Nothing is wasted. Not by moral principle, but by practical necessity. In the savannah, waste means future hunger. The women join the work. Their knives are small but efficient. They move with precision that demonstrates accumulated experience. The children observe attentively. Some participate in simple tasks. They learn through action, not explanation. Knowledge is transmitted organically, naturally, without formal educational structures. During the processing, conversation remains minimal. Words are utilized only when necessary for specific coordination. The work flows through mutual understanding. Each person knows what to do, knows when their contribution is necessary, knows when they must only observe. The sun rises. The heat increases. The work accelerates, not out of anxiety, but out of knowledge of climatic conditions. They know that certain activities must be concluded before the temperature makes the environment unsuitable. They comprehend the rhythms of nature. They adapt to them instead of fighting against them. The meat is divided following established patterns. There is no discussion about who receives what. The distribution follows community logic developed over generations. Larger families receive larger portions. The elderly receive softer parts. Children receive specific nutrients necessary for growth. It is an economic system based on necessity, not on individual accumulation. Part of the meat is consumed immediately, raw, without seasoning. It is pure food, processed only by the precise cut. The taste is not discussed. There are no expressed preferences. There is only necessary nutrition obtained in the most direct way possible. The relationship with food is fundamentally different from agricultural or industrial society. The remainder is prepared for transport. Simple preservation techniques, but effective, developed through millennial experimentation. Natural salt, controlled solar exposure, knowledge transmitted from generation to generation without need for written record. Collective memory substitutes documentation. In the afternoon, the group initiates the return. The mood is different from the morning. There is no exaltation. There is discrete satisfaction. A productive day was completed. Food was obtained. Danger was overcome. Life can continue within known parameters. For a society based on subsistence, this represents absolute success. The path back is more direct. The urgency of the hunt no longer exists. Allows more detailed observation of the environment. Collection of plants. Identification of water sources. Mental mapping of territorial changes. Each outing is also an opportunity for learning about the space they inhabit. The children ask questions, rare but specific. The answers are demonstrated, not explained. A child wants to know how to identify old tracks from recent ones. The adult shows differences in the texture of the soil, in the color of the displaced earth, in the firmness of the marks. Practical class without a classroom. The camp appears on the horizon. Other people wait, not with anxiety, but with natural expectation. They see the group approaching. Calculate the result of the expedition through body posture. Walking rhythm, transported load. They comprehend the success before the words. The arrival is tranquil. There are no dramatic reports. There are no exaggerated narratives. What happened is shared, factually. Lion was found. Situation was resolved. Food was obtained. Practical information is transmitted. location of water, movement of other animals, condition of the paths. The bonfire is lit. It is not a celebration. It is a necessity. The meat needs to be cooked. The group needs heat. The light needs to ward off nocturnal predators. Fire has a multiple function in Hadzabe society. Tool, protection, social center, symbol of continuity. While the food is prepared, the day is processed mentally. Decisions are evaluated, results are analyzed, lessons are extracted, not through formal discussion but through shared reflection. Knowledge is consolidated. Experience turns into wisdom. Wisdom turns into tradition. The meal begins when it darkens. Everyone participates. There is no food hierarchy based on status. There is only nutritional logic based on necessity. The elderly eat first for digestive reasons. Children receive specific parts for development. Adults consume what remains. Fair system within a context of relative scarcity. The conversation during the meal is light. Simple jokes. Observations about events of the day. Basic plans for tomorrow? There are no deep analyses. There is no abstract philosophy. Life is discussed in practical, immediate, tangible terms. Survival does not allow the ihai, luxury of excessive speculation. Gradually, the camp quiets down. People retire. The bonfire diminishes. Night watches are established informally. There is no rigid system. There is natural rotation based on age, experience, physical condition. Collective safety maintained through individual responsibility assumed voluntarily. Before sleeping, the man who led the expedition looks at the horizon, not with worry, with maintained attention. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, new risks. He knows this, accepts this, prepares himself mentally for this. In the savannah, each day demands a complete restart. Each morning is a renewed test of accumulated competence. Silence installs itself, completely. Only the natural sound of the night remains. Wind in the sparse trees, distant movement of animals, tranquil breathing of people who lived one more day within a system that has functioned for thousands of years. System based on observation, adaptation, cooperation, knowledge transmitted through action. In the dark, the savannah continues alive. Other predators hunt, other prey hide. The cycle remains unaltered. The Hadzabe are just one element within this larger dynamic. They do not dominate nature. They participate in it. They comprehend their place within a complex system that precedes them and will succeed them. The 5-year-old child does not play with bow and arrow. She observes, sits at a distance that allows seeing without hindering. Her eyes follow every movement of the adult, the posture, the angle, the breathing before the shot. There are no formal classes. There are no detailed explanations. Knowledge enters through the eyes, installs itself in memory, waits for the moment to be tested. When the man finishes adjusting the arrowhead, the child approaches, picks up the temporarily abandoned bow. It is too heavy for her arms. She does not get frustrated, does not insist beyond her capacity. Simply observes the difference between her current limitations and the skill she will need to develop. Returns the bow to the exact place where it was. Goes back to her observation position. Thus functions education among the Hadzabe. Without schedules. Without forced goals. Learning happens through gradual participation in real life. A 3-year-old child collects low fruits while adults reach the high ones. At 7, identifies poisonous plants. At 12, participates in short expeditions. At 15, contributes actively to family subsistence. There are no graduation ceremonies. There are no diplomas. There is only growing competence measured through practical results. The oldest woman in the Iyur camp works with medicinal roots. Her hands know every texture, every smell, every curative property. 3 girls observe attentively. The youngest just looks. The middle one asks occasional questions. The oldest already participates actively, processing less delicate plants. 3 stages of knowledge happening simultaneously. 3 generations sharing the same learning space. There is no hurry to accelerate the process. There is no anxiety about comparative development. Each child learns at their own rhythm, demonstrates competence when ready, assumes responsibilities when they can execute them adequately. The group does not pressure, does not retard, simply offers constant opportunities for growing participation. Knowledge does not belong to individuals. It belongs to the group. The woman who knows medicinal plants teaches any interested child. The man who manufactures better arrowheads shares techniques with any youth willing to learn. There is no intellectual property. There are no trade secrets. There is only accumulated wisdom available for collective perpetuation. When someone develops a new technique, it is tested by the group. If it works, it is incorporated into the common repertoire. If it does not work, it is abandoned without drama. There is no wounded ego. There is no resistance to change. There is only practical evaluation based on measurable results. Innovation happens through constant experimentation within a solid traditional structure. The Hadzabe economy does not operate with individual accumulation. It operates with constant circulation. What is obtained is shared. What is shared returns amplified when necessary. There is no explicit calculation of debits and credits. There is trust that individual contribution will be recognized through natural reciprocity. A successful hunter distributes his prey among several families, does not wait for immediate payment, does not keep a record of debts, knows that when his family needs it, others will contribute naturally. System based on collective memory, on mutual recognition, on understanding that survival depends on cooperation maintained over time. This system works because the group is small, because people know each other intimately, because individual reputation is built through repeated actions over years. Generosity is recognized. Selfishness is remembered. There are no formal punishments. There is only natural social consequence that regulates community behavior. When resources become scarce, there is no panic. There are no accusations. There is coordinated adaptation. Diets change temporarily. Search territories expand. Alternative techniques are implemented. Efforts are intensified. The group faces difficulties as an organic unit, not as a collection of individuals competing for limited resources. During a period of prolonged drought, we observe a subtle change in social dynamics. Expeditions become longer. Search groups divide to cover a larger area. Risks are distributed. There is no formal decision about these changes. They emerge naturally from the collective understanding that exceptional circumstances demand specific adaptations. The concept of future exists, but does not dominate present decisions. Preparation happens, but within practical limits. Extra tools are manufactured. Knowledge about alternative water sources is kept updated. Relations with neighboring groups are cultivated for eventual exchange. Planning exists, but does not assume absolute control over daily life. There is no anxiety about retirement. There is no worry about career plans. There is only recognition that capabilities change with age, that contributions assume different forms throughout life. Youths offer physical strength. Adults offer experience. The elderly offer accumulated wisdom. Each phase of life has specific value within the community system. The transition between these phases happens gradually, without abrupt landmarks. An experienced hunter reduces participation in long expeditions, increases time dedicated to teaching, to the manufacture of tools, to strategic decision-making. There is no forced retirement. There is no sudden loss of status. There is only natural evolution of responsibilities adapted to current capabilities. The elderly are not marginalized. They are consulted constantly. Their memory contains information about rare events, about solutions to exceptional problems, about long-term climatic patterns. They represent a living library of knowledge accumulated over decades of practical experience. Their presence offers stability, continuity, historical perspective. When someone dies, there are no elaborate rituals. There are no permanent monuments. The body returns to the earth. The memory remains through the transmitted skills, through the taught techniques, through the shared knowledge. Immortality happens through cultural continuity, not through individual preservation. Internal disputes. are rare. When they happen, they are resolved through direct discussion, without formal mediation, without a complex legal system. Those involved talk until reaching a mutual understanding. If they cannot, the community offers external perspective. There are no elaborate punishments. There is only restoration of harmony necessary for collective functioning. Romantic relationships follow flexible patterns. There are no formal marriage ceremonies. There are no legal contracts. There are commitments assumed publicly, recognized socially, maintained through continuous choice, not through imposed obligation. Separations happen when relationships become dysfunctional, without excessive drama, without legal complications, with practical reorganization of family responsibilities. Children grow in an environment of supervised freedom. There are no rigid restrictions. There are no imposed schedules. There is only a natural limit imposed by the need for safety. A child can explore widely during the day, must return before nightfall, can experiment with adult tools, cannot place themselves in unnecessary danger. Freedom and responsibility grow simultaneously. Toys are improvised from natural materials. Branches turn into miniature spears. Stones turn into projectiles for imaginary targets. Play imitates adult work, prepares children for future responsibilities. There is no rigid separation between fun and education, between game and preparation. Playful activity serves a natural pedagogical function. Specialization exists but is not absolute. Every adult masters basic survival skills. Some develop specific expertise. One man manufactures better bows. One woman knows rare plants. Another man tracks with exceptional precision. Specialization offers efficiency. Generalization offers safety. Both coexist within the same social system. Important decisions are made collectively, not through formal voting, through discussion that continues until consensus emerges. There is no permanent leadership. There is influence based on knowledge, on experience, on demonstrated capacity. Leadership is situational, changes according to the context, according to the specific need. The Hadzabe language contains words for concepts that do not exist in other cultures. Different types of silence, subtle gradations of animal movement, emotional states related to specific survival situations. Vocabulary reflects cultural priorities, shared experiences, knowledge considered essential for life in that environment. Jokes circulate constantly, simple humor based on daily situations, on harmless personal characteristics, on memorable events. Laughter offers relief for inevitable tensions of subsistence life. Strengthens social bonds, reduces potential conflicts, serves an important social function within a small group living in constant proximity. Music happens spontaneously, during repetitive work, during long walks. During food preparation, there are no complex instruments. There is natural rhythm created through clapping, through coordinated footsteps, through simple vocalizations. Music synchronizes collective activities, reduces fatigue, increases efficiency. The relationship with territory is intimate but not possessive. The Hadzabe know every water source, every productive tree, every natural shelter. They defend access to essential resources. They do not claim abstract property over extensions of land. Territory is defined through practical use, not through legal documents. Conflicts with neighboring groups are avoided through preventive communication, through mutual respect for established territories, through occasional exchange that benefits both sides. When tensions emerge, they are resolved through negotiation, through compromise, through mutual adjustments that preserve peace necessary for the survival of all. Environmental changes are faced through gradual adaptation, not through inflexible resistance. If traditional water sources dry up, new ones are sought. If migratory patterns of animals change, hunting strategies are adjusted. Flexibility is prioritized over tradition when survival is at stake. The technology utilized is simple but efficient. Each tool serves multiple functions. It is manufactured from local materials. It is repaired when it breaks. It is improvised when lost. There is no dependence on external resources. There is no planned obsolescence. There is only functionality maintained through practical knowledge. Diseases are treated through a combination of medicinal plants and community care. Medical knowledge is empirical, accumulated through generations of experimentation. There is no specialized medicine. There is generalized wisdom about basic treatments, about prevention, about palliative care. When traditional treatments fail, death is accepted as a natural part of life. There is no denial. There is no desperate search for impossible solutions. There is only dignified accompaniment, relief of suffering, maintenance of effective bonds until the end. Night brings silent reflection. Around the diminishing bonfire, people process events of the day. Plans emerge naturally for tomorrow, not through a rigid agenda, through adaptation to observed conditions, to the predicted weather, to identified needs. Planning remains flexible, responsive, human.